we've talked about DC, which is a qualifying option. We'll move to Punjab Kings. Um,
No,
and
wait, wait. Let's do KKR because KKR played aside. We're on that game anyway.
Oh,
So let's
fair
finish
enough, fair
yeah,
KKR.
enough.
so
So
let's talk about KKR.
one thing
Obviously,
about KKR, I'll say one thing before you go on your rant. The only person to have ever carried a team more than AB de Villiers is Andre Russell.
yeah. Oh, okay, so I'll just give you some stats about that. So since 2015, there has only been one season where Russell's strike rate has been below 150, and his strike rate that season was 144. So not too bad. Um, and his average below 25, only one season, 13. That was in 2020. Apart from that, in every season, his average has been more than 25 and strike rate more than 150. In 2022, which is this year, his average has been 42 and his strike rate has been 183. That's pretty good if you ask me. Second only to Dinesh Karthik's strike rate this season. And his best ever season in 2019, his average was 57 and his strike rate was 204. So, and that season he was in the top 5 run scorers in the IPL. He had scored over 500 runs, batting at 6 and 7. So Russell's just been carrying KKR nonstop, and this is his second best season statistically. He's just it's just insane how much Russell and Narayan continue to carry us. Like Narayan in his last game, he went at 8 runs and over, which might seem like a decent day for everyone else. This is the first time this season Narayan's gone over 8 runs and over, which is insane. Narayan and Russell have been doing this for around 7 years in the case of Russell, 7 years in the case of Russell, and 10 or 11 years in the case of Narayan. Um, it's honestly very sad to see from a KKR point of view when we keep messing up our auction strategy, and every season Narayan and Russell like just have to save us. It's really disappointing. Uh, yeah, there's not much to say. Obviously, Pat Cummins got injured, and thus Umesh Yadav came back in. Sam Billings for Sheldon Jackson. So one thing that is another positive for me this season is Umesh Yadav. It's really heartening to see like these old test bowlers like Umesh Yadav and Mohammad Shami and even Bhuvneshwar Kumar just dominate the power play. Bhuvi's obviously not got the wickets, but his economy has been brilliant, and the comeback of Umesh Yadav has been really good to see as for me as a fan of him, uh, even completely separate from like the fact that I'm a KKR fan. Um, Umesh Yadav's comeback has been pretty good uh, for me as a fan. Another big revelation that came out, which I want to hear your opinions on, is um, in the match versus Lucknow, KKR skipper Shreyas Iyer mentioned that obviously the team CEO has say in team selections, and that obviously stirred up a lot of debate on social media. Um, and this isn't the first time. Obviously, Warner left because of that, and and Shreyas faced this issue in Delhi also. But now in his game versus SH, Shreyas cleared up and said what he meant by that statement was the team CEO comforts players who are not picked after the team selection. So I think that I don't think that statement was necessarily good because it just makes things look worse for KKR. What are your views on that?
I mean, like it's
See, I
obvious
think the C
he was clearing himself up after the initial statement because what,
But do you
what is
believe it?
no, of course not. What that's so silly. No. He said it the first time, and then the CEO came to him. One of the CEO's dudes came to him and was like, "Hey yo, allow it. Don't say that kind of stuff." And then he had to clear it up if he wanted to uh, remain a viable candidate for future KKR selection in future. I don't know, but it's obvious that there was pressure on him to change his strategy, and he did. So yeah.
See, one thing I like to say about CEOs making decision is, CEOs 90% of the time don't know anything about actually playing the game, and the people who know about playing the game are sitting in that coaching staff, and the person who knows the game the people who know the game the most are the two gentlemen called Brendan McCullum and Michael Hussey, who have played for the respective national
David
sides, who
Hussey.
have coached teams. David Hussey, sorry, Michael Hussey, yeah, Michael Hussey's David Hussey, yes, who've done wonders in the IPL as well. David Hussey for Punjab and McCullum for KKR mainly. So I don't think a CEO should have say in team selection. Um, See, I know most about RCB, so I will give an example from RCB. At the auction table, the CEO raises the paddle, but it's not the CEO making the decision. It's it's Mike Hessen and the dude sitting next to him, making those decisions, right? Whether to raise the paddle or not. He's just listening to what Hessen tells him to do, and he's doing that. And he's just making sure, like, they don't bid like 50 crore for one person. Even in the case of the Punjab Kings, I think the CEO had a more active role in that, but it was mainly Anil Kumble and John T. Rhodes. I think John T. Rhodes making those decisions. Um, on the other side, if you look at it as well, if you see the Gujarat Titans and Lucknow camps, I think the CEOs were more involved because it was their first season. But other than that, I think it's the say of the coaches and what the coaches decide. In the case of the SRH planning, we saw that Kane Williamson was the one making the calls, which I don't think should be the case. I think it should be the coaching staff who is present there making the calls and following the auction plan. CSK, I think Fleming was on call with the people at the auction table and they're making the calls. So I think the CEOs should let that job of team selection in the auction and team selection while playing in the playing 11 to the coaching staff, because they coach their players, they know them the best. And I think too much interference from the top brass management affects everything that you do on the field.
Yeah, I totally